This is our value chain, starting with generation, transmission, substations, uh, distribution lines, distribution substations, and then the medium voltage line, and then reticulation into the municipalities, and finally into the residences and businesses. Now, when we had load shedding, we had a problem here in the generation of electricity. So we do not have a problem of generation anymore. The problems that we have are now around this last mile in the reticulation and in the low voltage systems. And these are due to overloading of the system at that level. So where this house, for example, has about 7 or 8 tenants, and this house, the design of the system is such that it can only receive a certain amount of power, and then when that is more, it leads to a tripping of the system at this level. And that is what has been happening through winter. It was not load shedding, it was problems at the distribution at this level. I was also hoping to explain this to Mr. Yellen today, that this is actually the problem that we're having. We have sufficient generation capacity to meet peak demand due to mainly the improved energy availability factor, which currently year-to-date stands at 78.9% against 71% last year. In the next 5 years, we will add an additional 8,169 megawatts of capacity from our current new build projects. I believe you have all been invited to the launch of the Ingula project next week, and we hope to see you all there to see for yourselves that we are indeed serious about delivering on our new build. In fact, Ingula is way ahead of its schedule because it was only supposed to be finished next year. On the transmission side, we have excellent performance year to date with no system minute incidents greater than 1. The distribution network performance is within acceptable limits. However, we have localized incidents, mainly due to illegal connections, theft, and plant failure, which are being addressed. These incidents we expect will decrease as well, because I think after this past weekend, we are officially out of winter. I think this was the last cold front to hit South Africa during winter, unless the meteorologists have other information, but I suspect that it was the last cold front, and therefore we have gone through winter with spectacular success on the generation side, but with some problems on the distribution side, from which we have learned a lot of lessons, and on which we will be improving going forward. In the past few weeks, distribution experienced a number of localized power outages. The key causes for the power outages were illegal connections, which result in overloading of the networks, cable theft, and the vandalism of electricity infrastructure. Technical faults and routine plant maintenance also result in interruptions, and Eskom has responded by replacing damaged or failed equipment, and in some cases upgrading the infrastructure. And this approach has proven not to be sustainable. So it was a reactive approach to problems at the local level and on an unprecedented scale, perhaps because for the first time the problems on the distribution side came to the fore when generation was available all the time. And so some of the hotspots were in Soweto, Kagiso, Katlehong, Mamelodi, Bophelo. There were other parts in the country, but this is where most of the problems were experienced due to illegal connections and overloading, cable theft and vandalism, plant failure as a result of overloading, and we had a situation where about 5 mini substations were failing per day. We have stabilized the situation. We have repaired and replaced 31 substations and 287 transformers. 61 transformers in Soweto have been replaced, 44 in Randfontein, 16 in Sandton, 42 in Midrand, 45 in Ekurhuleni, 45 in the Vaal, and 36 in Tshwane. We have reset breakers from breaker trips, and we have upgraded and replaced the damaged cables that were stolen and damaged during this period. So, as we stand here, there is not a single cable that has been stolen that has not been replaced, and there is not a single transformer or a piece of equipment that got damaged in the last 3 months that has not been either upgraded or replaced. And so our people have been working very hard to make sure that electricity is restored, typically within about 6 hours. But we must apologize, in certain areas it was a bit longer. And we wish to reiterate, it was not load shedding. These were localized problems, sometimes as a result of the activities of some of the residents in the particular areas, but sometimes as a result of our own equipment that was not able to cope. And so we have proactively also engaged with the affected communities. These are some of the examples of the situations that we found with illegal connections. These are attempts at connecting onto a local transformer there, and it is exposed, and the condition that we found it in. The design philosophy in most of the areas that have been affected, like Soweto, Katlehon, Diepsloot, Brandfischerville, Sebokeng, was done with a maximum demand of 2 kVA per stand. However, illegal connections overload transformers, resulting in failures. These areas are infested with illegal connections, backyard shacks, bypassed meters, and vandalized pillar boxes, resulting in network overloading and thus causing localized power failures. Please note that we're not expressing an opinion, or we're just stating fact that this is the situation as it is happening. We are not saying it is good or bad or whose fault was it and so on and so forth. We're just saying that this is the reason why we were having so many trips, and that was affecting other areas as well. And these factors have caused equipment to operate above their maximum rated or operating parameters, and thus reducing the lifespan of the equipment. And these are examples of some of the illegal connections. In fact, this picture was taken yesterday in Grabo, where we were for the Mandela Day celebrations. And this shows you all of these are not part of the connections that Eskom put in, as well as all of these here. So this is what residents, it's a pity that, and this is where they go. If you can see, these are sticks that people have put all over an informal settlement to make connections. Now the problem with this is that because this is not part of the network, or this was not part of the supply, it affects the entire area to which this pole is connected. And so the people that are innocent, that are in their houses, get affected, and you get an entire area, maybe 2,500 people, you get a trip because the system has now become overloaded. People have the capability of climbing up to the pole and actually making all these connections one by one by one. This situation, by the way, I mean, if you want to see an extreme form of this situation, you should see in the favelas in Rio. I think this is where I saw about 1,000 times more connections like this on one pole. But there, they don't trip. I don't know how. They don't trip. But it is a problem that is developing, and we need a sustainable solution to this problem. And so our problems have now shifted from the generating plants to here. This is our next big challenge. This is what we need to resolve. This is an example of the connections that are being made to unregistered or illegal connections onto informal settlements. We have the capability to electrify informal settlements, but we have to go through the local municipality. In Grabo, for example, there is an informal settlement that is on land belonging to it's not Public Works, it's one of the agencies of nature conservation. It's a nature conservation agency, and so the owners of the land, which is a nature conservation agency, say you cannot come in and electrify this place because it's a nature conservation area. It is not an informal settlement. And so the people are waiting for a court date to hear whether the courts will allow them to settle there. There's a court case pending, and while the court case is pending, we cannot electrify the informal settlement, and people resort to their own means to get electrified, and that affects the entire area. And so we start having sporadic trips. But this is symptomatic of the problems that we are now having. These are some of the other examples. These are prepaid meters that have been breached, and that is connections that people have taken the initiative to make. Some of the interventions that we have resorted to has been the installation of protective structures, replacement of bent fuses, retention of sagging conductors, and load balancing on faces, which are costly solutions. We have developed community partnerships and intensified training to develop sense of ownership. And as part of network maintenance, all open pillar boxes are closed and damaged infrastructure is normalized. Increased security measures to deal with fraud related to meter bypasses and conductor theft. In fact, when we announced the results, we said that the number of arrests that have been made relating to fraud, conductor theft, cable theft, and all crimes against Eskom had increased substantially in the previous year to, I think, 228 arrests. And this include arrests for activities on illegal meter tampering and the sale of illegal vouchers for our meters. So this is something that is now going to be receiving our attention, and we hope to report on progress. Just as a to make South Africa aware of the dangers of going up and tampering with a transformer that is that high, we will be running an advertisement campaign on the TV. I'm not sure when it will start. And to show what the dangers are of these things. We have a three-pronged approach which we have developed to recover, stabilize, and improve the performance of the electricity network. We remain committed in ensuring that customers have continuity of supply and ensuring a sustainable solution to the current challenges. It is also important for communities to support our efforts towards the removal of illegal connections and installation of smart meters, so as to ensure that we can accelerate the overall service level improvement. Eskom customers are also urged to report technical faults at that number, 08600 37566. On the generation side, we have had no load shedding for 11 months. I don't buy this 2 hours and 20 minutes. 2 hours and 20 minutes in 11 months is nothing. So we haven't had load shedding since August 2005. Average planned maintenance for quarter one was 11.11%. OCGT, which is diesel sent out, has decreased from 1,800 gigawatt hours in quarter one of 2016 to 16 gigawatt hours of quarter one of 2017. By the way, quarter one of 2016 is April to June of 2015, because our year is 16-17 is a financial year, and then quarter one of 2017 is April to June of 2016, and so if you compare those two quarters, the decrease in the use of diesel was about 98%. If you compare the two quarters, this resulted in a reduction in diesel costs between the two quarters of 3.9 billion to 86 million during this the quarter that ended in June, when comparing to quarter one that ended in June of 2015, which is a 98% decrease in diesel spend. Energy availability reached a record high of 81% for the month of June, which was last achieved in July 2013. Energy availability has increased from 69.6% in quarter one, which is June 2015, to 78.6% in quarter one, which is June 2016, which translates to an additional 3,775 megawatts of extra power made available from improvements made in the operation of the existing fleet. Now you will notice that this 3,775 coincides with the figure that we were saying last year we need to deal with load shedding. And so we have been able to mainly deal with load shedding because we did get the 3,700 megawatts that we were requiring. Eskom has been able to meet demand this financial year, even during the weeks where demand was higher than last year. So the story that it's because demand has come down, there were months when demand was higher than the previous year, and even during those months we were able to meet demand. Eskom has increased cross-border sales by 33% compared to gigawatt hours sent out. This is shows the growth in energy availability, which is the dark blue line. The light blue line shows you that our unplanned maintenance has been decreasing over time, and is now at about 9.7, but it came down from about 12 and went to 16 at some point. Now, and planned maintenance has also been decreasing, but more importantly, our planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance are both at a low level, and we had instances where planned maintenance was higher than unplanned maintenance. For example, in February 16 and in around March 16 it was about the same. But we are quite comfortable with these levels of both planned and unplanned maintenance. In fact, at these levels are the reasons May, June, July we were able to go through winter without load shedding. And so what you should see is this planned portion increasing from August again as demand decreases because we are out of winter. So planned maintenance will become more than unplanned maintenance from around August. This is a usage of diesel has come down from 381 gigawatt hours to 1.7 in July 2016, in October 2015. The load factor has also come down from 21% to 0.2%, and the costs have come down from 854 million to 5.8 million. The improved performance is not due to lower demand. Well, maybe not lower demand only. And unfortunately, this slide is a bit cluttered, but what I would like to you to focus on is only two lines. Availability in 2016, which is the blue dotted line. So this is availability in 2016, and then availability in 2015, which is this red line. Okay, the rest is just for academic purposes, but it just shows you the jump that we have made. The jump that we have made from, we were operating at this red line last year, and now in terms of availability, that is where we are. This, how much electricity is now available. And that is the reason why we don't have load shedding. Because even if the demand levels had been the same as last year or the year before, we would still have had load shedding if we were still at the red line. So if supply had not improved, we would have had load shedding even if demand was lower. This shows you how the buildup of demand is met. And we see that we have eliminated OCGT costs completely. This blue line is Eskom, excluding OCGTs, which is our coal-fired power stations and nuclear. And this has increased, and we have contracted demand reductions have also performed very well. And these contracted demand reductions are deliberate ways of reducing demand, and mandatory demand reductions have also been eliminated. So mandatory demand reductions is basically load shedding, which is not at all, it does not feature anymore. And the green is the availability of IPPs and the use of IPPs, which we have to use. Even when we don't need them, we have to use them. Even when they are more expensive. But I won't go into that debate. This is a breakdown of our sales, Southern African Power Pool, sales per customer. The bulk of our sales go to Motraco. We also sell to NamPower, BPC, Scorpion, Zesco. We have firm cross-border sales to end-use customers, which have remained fairly constant at 2,200 gigawatt hours, increasing by 70 gigawatt hours. The firm and non-firm sales to utilities has increased by 900 gigawatt hours. And so it is the non-firm sales, which is opportunistic sales of electricity, that have increased by 900 gigawatts. And the total cross-border sales have increased by 970 gigawatts. Eskom Supply is making an increasing and positive contribution to support the economies of SADC and to offset the impact of the drought on the Kariba power station. And with progressive additional capacity coming online in South Africa, Eskom will be reviewing the exports with a view to assess future sustainability. Outlook. As we said, last year we introduced a planning tool called Tetris, and from Tetris, which is our Sangoma, our prognosis for winter is that there would not be load shedding. Winter is the last few days of July, and beyond that there will also be no load shedding. Eskom is progressing well with the maintenance of its power generating plant while supplying the country's electricity needs, while also minimizing the usage of open cycle gas turbines or diesel. We are targeting a maintenance budget 8,500 megawatts in winter and 11,500 megawatts in summer. Now the maintenance budget means that we will increase our planned maintenance from 8,500, which is what we had been allowing ourselves to maintain in winter, to 11,500. We'll increase our maintenance by 2,500. And this should further improve plant availability. This 11,500 could very well increase again in December. If you remember last year in December, we said during the school holidays and the long holidays of December, there is less consumption of electricity, which gives us an opportunity to increase planned maintenance. Renewable energy will continue to contribute to 900 megawatts from the sun and 880 megawatts of the total installed capacity of 2,310 megawatts of electricity generated during the day. Okay, I won't comment on energy availability there from solar and wind during Eskom, Siri and wind farm. As we said, our installed capacity is 45,000 or thereabouts, which has increased a little bit from last year as a result. That kink is Medupi Unit 6, which increased our installed capacity. That is our winter UCLF, unplanned breakdowns, and our summer UCLF, which we allowed to be 6,500. It's just a budget number that we allow ourselves to, the system to, we assume that the system will have breakdowns of up to 6,500. If it doesn't, it's fine, but we work on some kind of budget. And so we now add our own planned maintenance, and then we have an operating reserve, and the remainder after this operating reserve, planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance is in fact, the remainder that is below is what is available for demand. And so the question becomes, so what is demand? You can see that if demand goes more than this yellow, into this yellow line or the green line, we will have load shedding. So let's see what happens. This is available capacity, as I was just saying, and this is demand, and that is December. And so we will operate the operating reserve, planned maintenance, and plant breakdowns above the projected demand numbers. And so that is what convinces us that we will be able to go without load shedding up to March 2017, and in fact and beyond, as long as we stay above these numbers, above these black lines of planned maintenance and plant breakdowns. And so once we've established what this demand is, we then turn the graph upside down, and we're able to see the operating reserve, and then we start staking the maintenance units. So Andrina Unit 7 is out for very long outage. Camden Unit 2 will be out for very long outage. Arnott Unit 1 will be out. Kendall is going out on the 26th of July to beyond September, and this is quite a long outage as well, planned outage. Grootvlei also 1 and 2 for long outages as well. Matimba, Ankerlig is our diesel picking plant. We will take out Ankerlig from about the 7th of August to the 28th of September, and I believe during this period we will finalize its conversion into a gas and not diesel machine, because those OCGTs are open, they are dual gas and diesel, but the gas portion had not been activated, so we could only use diesel. And until now, we have budgeted some money with the kind permission of the CFO, and during this outage, we will finalize the conversion of Ankerlech Unit 4 into a gas machine. Ankerlech Unit 3, same thing. Tutuka Unit 4 will go out in August. Tutuka Unit 3 will go out from the 18th of July, which is yesterday, and it will come back on the 23rd of August. Henrina, I hope it's not load shedding. Duva Unit 5 will be out from the 28th of July. Henrina Unit 8, Drakensberg Unit 4, Kahora Basa Unit 1 will be out for opportunity maintenance in September. Krill Unit 3, Letabo Unit 3, and this is like playing Tetris, as you can see. Majuba Unit 3, Kubek Unit 1 will be out for, I think it's a refueling outage in September. And you can see Kubek Unit 1 is actually quite big. And Henrina Unit 3, Camden Unit 1, Matra Unit 3, and Kendall Unit 6. And so this is our maintenance plan from now until September, and we will do this maintenance without getting to the red light of load shedding. Okay, there are smaller ones as well. And so this continues. October, November, December, we'll add more units. Kubek Unit 1 will come back around the 12th of November. This continues January, February, March. And so you can see that until the end of March, we do not anticipate any load shedding. And even beyond March, we will continue with this plan. It will be completed long before April, May, June next year. And we will continue to manage the system in the same way to make sure that we don't have load shedding. The new build update, Medupi Unit 6 has been commissioned. Since the previous update, the turbine on Baring, first oil fire and first coal fire milestones have been achieved for Medupi Unit 5 ahead of schedule. These are important milestones towards boiler blow-through, first synchronization, and ultimately commercial operation of the unit. And so we are happy to announce that we're doing excellent progress with Medupi Unit 5, which should be commercially operational by March 2018 in terms of the P80 schedule. We have managed to synchronize all Ngula units to the national grid ahead of schedule, and the last two units were synchronized on the 21st of May and the 16th of June, respectively. In fact, when the Unit 1 was synchronized on the 16th of June, it was dedicated to the youth of Soweto in remembrance, because it was 16 June 2016, after 40 years. Ngula Unit 4 was successfully commissioned on the 10th of June 2016, adding on a permanent basis 333 megawatts to South Africa's electricity grid when we require it, because it's a peaking station. And Ngula Unit 3, although it had been synchronized, it was damaged during testing, and the repairs are progressing well. And the remaining units 3, 2, and 1 are on track for commercial operation during this calendar year. Kusile Power Station continues to achieve set milestones on the path for Unit 1 commercial operation, recently completing the drought group run milestone in June 2016. It is expected to be commercially operational by July 2018. And at the end of May 2016, 10.1 kilometers of transmission lines have been constructed, and 800 MVAs of substation capacity were commissioned for 2016-17 financial year. So this is between the 1st of April and the end of May, we had completed 10.1 kilometers of transmission lines. The capacity expansion program has so far added 7,364 megawatts of generation capacity since 2005, and 6,162 kilometers of transmission lines have been added since 2005. So this is our program that we share with you all the time, commercial operation and P80 dates. This is commercial operation and P80 dates. So this is not synchronization, and these are not other dates other than P80 dates. So Sere Wind Farm has been done. Medupi Unit 6 was commercialized in 2015. January 17, we commercialized Ingula Unit 3. And Unit 4 commercial operation will be January 2017, but it was synchronized in during 2017, Ingula Unit 3. And we will continue to Ingula Unit 1, 2, Medupi Unit 5 will come on stream, Kusile Unit 1, and then there will be an additional 5,620 megawatts post MYPD3. So this is a big one, Medupi Unit 5, that will come on stream in March 2018. This is the additional megawatts that will be added to the grid. We will increase capacity from the current 45,000. Last year it was 44,420. And at the moment we are at 45,419. Next year we'll go to 47,50 in 2019. 51,000 in 2020, 52,500 in 2021, and 53,000 by 2022. At the moment, our consumption is about, in winter during peak, about 35,000 megawatts. 35,000 megawatts. If we assume that demand will increase by an additional 5,000 megawatts over this period, and we draw a line at 40,000 megawatts as demand, you will see that we will have additional capacity, quite a lot of additional capacity from 2017-18 right through to 2022. And so we are moving to excess capacity, from load shedding to excess capacity. Even if this number of 40,000, even if the demand increases beyond 40,000, maybe to 45,000, we are quite confident that we will have enough reserve margin. And so we dare the South African economy to grow as much as it wants. We will make the power available. In fact, we would like to see the South African economy growing and creating jobs. And we hope that we have laid the foundation. From a power point of view, it is not a threat to, Eskom is not a threat to growth anymore, or the availability of power is not a threat anymore at 53,000 megawatts by 2022. The update on Duva Unit 3. There was some a couple of weeks ago about Duva Unit 3. We have made on Duva Unit 3. I had said during a presentation like this that we almost finished with Duva Unit 3 award of the contract. We had identified a preferred bidder, but we were going into contract negotiations. And unfortunately, the contract negotiations collapsed, perhaps as a way of putting pressure on Eskom. I don't know what happened, but I think maybe it was the contractor who then leaked something that says it's untoward, hey, Eskom, this, what, and the other, there's corruption, hey, what. So, but the contract negotiations, because the contract negotiations didn't succeed, And so we are not in a position where we have to do a deal at all costs. It is an unfortunate position to be if one day you find yourself in a situation where you have to do a deal and you are unable to walk away from a deal. So because of our comfortable situation on the generation side, we are in fact in a position where if we don't like a deal, we can walk away from it. And that is what we did, end of story. There's no corruption about it. Supplier was unable to meet some of our conditions precedent to enable the agreement to be signed, and we have appointed suppliers who will commence with the structural assessments and repair scope of work based on the current work schedule, and we do not expect any additional delay. We will commence in a new commercial process, and we are yet to approve the initiation of the new commercial process. As I say, we are not under pressure to do it. We will do it at our own pace and do it with best value for money, and also manage the risks, because the issue in the DUVA 3 negotiations was a risk issue, because we had wanted parent company guarantees which were not forthcoming. We have made good progress on the Majuba permanent solution, and that solution, the fixing of the Majuba silo is on track for completion in December 2017 on a P80 schedule, and we are planning to accelerate completion date. In conclusion, Eskom has stabilized, and to date we have not implemented load shedding for 11 months. I mean, who's going to quibble about the few days remaining to August? For 11 months, we are ensuring that power supply remains unconstrained through our maintenance program. We are also aggressively executing the capital build program, which will increase our generation capacity. And we are working hard to restore and stabilize the electricity distribution network around the country. And we remain committed to ensuring that customers have a continuous supply of electricity. Thank you very much.